Imagine if every day your time reset. If you were stuck on the same day for thousands of years, what would you do? At first, you'd feel like a lucky guy. You'd start spending money like crazy because it will reset every day after all. Soon, you'd realize life isn't interesting at all. So, you start seeking fun in crime, gambling, and other things like that for the new feeling in your life. You don't need to worry about the consequences, but it's annoying that everything you've done is getting reset. You want to get out of this life, so you've been trying to kill yourself. But every time you just wake up again at 7 a.m. on July 7th. Yeah, so today is the day that I've lived in for 1,000 years. Muyan, with her smoky makeup and colorful hair, curled her lips and shook her head drunkenly. Is this how you pick up girls? Making up a bizarre story is quite cliché. This method is really old-fashioned, but the story was interesting though. What I said is true. Wu Chen shook the red wine glass and smiled. I know thousands of languages, and my hacking skills are the best. Now you must be wondering, why would someone like me hit on you? Because I'll wake up tomorrow, back to today's date. If I sleep with you or do anything else, it won't matter. Muyan whispers in her mind. It's the first time I've met someone like this. I don't know how to communicate with this guy. I don't believe you. Muyan ignored Wu Chen after saying this and looked down at her phone. Today, she had an appointment with her best friend. Even though she has been waiting for more than an hour, there was no sign of her best friend. It was Wu Chen who suddenly came over to strike up a conversation with her. Mu Yan was bored waiting, so she chatted with Wu Chen for a while, but she didn't expect Wu Chen to be a psychopath, claiming to have been reincarnated for 1,000 years. Your best friend will not come, Wu Chen said, lightly. Huh? Mu Yan raised her head and squinted her eyes. How do you know she won't come? Her ex-boyfriend suddenly came back to her, so she's got to stay with him. Wu Chen replied, and Mu Yan said, Stop lying, to Wu Chen. Wu Chen smiled and said, After exactly 9 minutes and 13 seconds, your friend will call you and tell you that she is unable to come today. Yeah, I hope so, Mu Yan replied while standing up and told Wu Chen, If she doesn't call, you're dead. And while saying that, she bumped into some random wannabe gangster. The wannabe gangster looked at Mu Yan with a lusty thought while smoking like an old movie villain. He grabbed Mu Yan's hand and said, Hey, beauty, you just hurt me. Drink with us and I'll forgive you. Who are you? Let me go, Mu Yan replied with scared and sharp tone. Hey, don't be like that. Let's have some fun, said wannabe gangster while tightly gripping Mu Yan's hand. You come here, Wu Chen told the smoking wannabe gangster. The thug, while smoking, left Mu Yan's hand and turned face to Wu Chen and said, What the hell are you saying? And threw the cigarette butt at Wu Chen's face, but Wu Chen, without even blinking his eyes, didn't dodge and stood tall while smirking at the wannabe gangster's face. The thug was in disbelief and thought in his mind, Why didn't he dodge? Did he preview the bud's direction in that split second? The wannabe gangster started shouting, Bastard! And ran towards Wu Chen with his fist closed for sucker punch. But Wu Chen, without breaking a sweat, dodged the punch like a trained MMA fighter. The thug was in state of shock and disbelief as he said, He dodged again? Then Wu Chen countered with a jaw-breaking, mouth-shattering uppercut and sent the thug flying high, covering quite a distance. It was not even a proper fight for Wu Chen, who was wearing night suit and slipper in a bar. The other wannabe gangster standing behind shouted in disbelief, Who the fuck is this guy? Just in time, the main boss of these wannabe gangster appeared while shouting his mouth, How dare you touch my man? You're a dead man today. Wu Chen replied, You grew up, huh? The gangster was confused with Wu Chen's talking and not getting scared. Is this how Zhao taught his younger brother? Wu Chen said while taking his phone out. The gangster is more confused now and asked Wu Chen, Do you know my brother Zhao? Wu Chen swiftly dialed a number and call quickly connected. Huh, who are you? How do you know this number? The voice behind the phone was hoarse and alert. This phone number was private and very few people were aware of it. Only a few big shots and influential people were allowed to use this number to contact him. Zhao, you dare order your brothers to make trouble? Did you forget what you said at the meeting held in May? If you don't want to start a war in China, then do what you said in the May meeting. Wu Chen went straight to the point. You even know about the May meeting, said Zhao on the other side of the phone, was stunned. Keep your people in check. The next time it won't be a phone call, said Wu Chen, and passed the phone to the gangster. You talk. Big brother, it's me. Yes, big brother, we are at Wang's bar. No, big brother, we weren't making trouble. It's no big deal, big brother. Sorry, big brother, I was wrong. I was stupid, big brother. Soon he got off the phone and made some distance while respectfully handing Wu Chen the phone. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't bother y'all, said Wu Chen while taking his phone. While seeing this scene before her eyes that all the gangster in the bar are bowing to Wu Chen, Mu Yan couldn't believe her eyes if this was real and was in disbelief. Suddenly, Mu Yan's phone rings and it was her friend's call. Mu Yan picks up the call and her friend on the phone said, Hey, friend. Sorry, my boyfriend came back and I can't go to the bar right now. I can take you to dinner tomorrow. Bye. Mu Yan was in complete shock. What Wu Chen told her, everything was true and it all happened according to how Wu Chen described this a while ago. Mu Yan, in state of shock and disbelief, said to Wu Chen, That's impossible. Wu Chen replied, It's not impossible. Come with me. And started walking. While Mu Yan said, I still don't believe it. They went to the parking lot and Wu Chen picked a car stopped in front of Mu Yan. She said in shock after seeing the car, Is this your car? Wu Chen replied, Nope. You stole a car, Mu Yan asked Wu Chen. It doesn't matter, tomorrow it'll be back anyways, said Wu Chen. You won't leave a drunken hot woman to go home alone, right? Asked Mu Yan. Sorry, I'm not interested in a woman who uses shit ton of makeup to look pretty, replied Wu Chen from his car. What did you say? Asked Mu Yan, fuming with anger over Wu Chen's comments. Mu Yan said, Wait, while she picks a tissue from her purse and cleans all her makeup from face and asked Wu Chen, What about now? Well, now you're 9 out of 10. Want to go to my place so I can prove I ain't lying? Don't worry, the bed is pretty big for both of us. If you try to do anything with me, I'll call the police, said Mu Yan. Then she boarded the car. Wu Chen pressed the accelerator while smirking and they drove off to Wu Chen's house. They arrived at Wu Chen's home and rest is up to your wild imagination, and don't forget to subscribe to Crimson Aura if you want to support Wu Chen and me in this world to get a harem. The next morning, bird chirping on the tree outside Wu Chen's house, and some visuals of last night for my viewers to imagine. And slowly Wu Chen wake up and tells, once again, I woke up on the same day. Hey, didn't you say that the day kept repeating? As Mu Yan said this, Wu Chen is completely shocked after seeing Mu Yan. Now explain, why is today July 8th? Mu Yan asked Wu Chen while showing him the time in her phone and holding her towel to avoid giving a complete show to our viewers. Shocked, Wu Chen saw his clock and shouted, What? In disbelief, July 8th? Boom! Wu Chen suddenly turned over, jumped to the ground, and rushed inside the bathroom. Don't run! Mu Yan thought that Wu Chen was going to the bathroom to hide, so she started knocking the door while saying, Wu Chen, what kind of man hides in the bathroom? Didn't you say you were going to explain it to me? Wu Chen switched on the shower and stood while water was splashing onto his body, while realizing that this ain't a dream, time has started flowing. I'm finally free from this time and space prank. Ha 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 ha, I'm coming out. World, I'm coming! Wu Chen laughed wantonly and he said the words like a madman, but they came from the deepest part of his heart. Ding! The host has passed the Millennium Test and the time-space reincarnation system has been activated. Binding to the host. Wu Chen suddenly thought there was an ethereal voice, and before he could react, a data screen appeared in front of him. Wu Chen in his surprised tone said, Is this a system? I've awakened a system? Host Wu Chen basic attributes are Strength 7, Speed 9, Stamina 8, Mental Strength 10,158. Time and Space Reset is available. Time limit is 365,000 points. Host abilities are French level 9, English level 9, Piano level 9, Fighting level 9, Marksmanship level 9. A total of 1,354 items can be expanded. Wu Chen read through all the data from the system and said, "My physical attribute is very ordinary, but my mental power is very high." Wu Chen, with his excited but surprised reaction, asked, "What does this time reset mean? Can I reset time at will?" Ding! System replies, "Yes. The host can choose to lock and reset the current time. The time settlement point is 7 a.m. Reminder: the first time you lock the time reset on the same day, you will consume 1 point of time quota. Repeatedly reset the same day, and the time quota will be doubled each time. The first reset cost 1 point. The second reset cost 2 points. The third reset cost 3 points, and so on the 20th reset will cost 20 points." The system's voice reminded Wu Chen in his mind. "I understand," Wu Chen said in his heart. Wu Chen thinking in his mind, if you reset too many times on the same day, the time quota will be depleted. As long as you don't reset more than once on the same day, there will be no problem. Anyway, active and passive rest are two different things. Before, I was trapped in time, but now I can control it. Before the reincarnation, I was just an ordinary student with no skills, but now I have 1,354 near-max level abilities. I have lived 1,000 years of constant time reset, and that is the best proof. Now that time is normal, I will have a use for all of my skills." Wu Chen was in bathroom for too long figuring out the system and its abilities, and making weird noises while yelling and laughing in excitement. Mu Yan was standing outside door and listening to all the yelling and laughing of Wu Chen, and started thinking, is this guy crazy? Wu Chen came out of bathroom while wiping his hair with towel. Surprised, Mu Yan asked Wu Chen, "So, are you all right?" Wu Chen replied with a sparkling smile, "This is the best day I've had in 1,000 years." Mu Yan thought Wu Chen is taking about last night exercises they did together and said, "Will you insist on that shit?" Boom, boom, boom. Open up Xi Jinping here to check if you have subscribed to Crimson Aura. Do it now. Suddenly there was a loud knock on the door. Open the door! Damn it! How dare you steal our boss's car? You're a dead man. Thugs shouting from the outside while loudly knocking the door. Mu Yan walks towards the door and peeked through the peephole, and she saw multiple thugs angrily banging the door with their fists. Mu Yan rushes back to Wu Chen and started scolding Wu Chen. "It's your fault for stealing someone else's car, and now they're looking for you." "I didn't know it was going to be a normal day, and coincidentally I stole Wang's car," Wu Chen replied while calming Mu Yan. Mu Yan replied, "Well, he's someone very famous in Underworld, and now you're being hunted by him. Isn't that great? He has a great story of overcoming those above him. His parents were beaten and disabled by social workers hired by a third party, and in his anger he hacked them into pieces and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. After he was released from prison, he started to work in the street and made a name for himself with his high intelligence. Now he's become big name in East China and is very powerful." Wu Chen explained all this to Mu Yan. Scared, Mu Yan replied, "You messed with such a powerful man, now you're dead." That is actually a pretty small problem, compared to the fact that I borrowed Li Gongxi's name yesterday. If we don't handle this properly, an insane amount of people will be hunted and killed, said Wu Chen. What are you going to do? Mu Yan asked Wu Chen. He replied, It's simple. I'll just rest the time and start it over. System, I want to use the time reset. Ding! The host resets time and space for the first time on July 8th, 2020. This time, 1 point of time and space point is consumed. Rest successful. Remaining time, points 364,999 points. The time has been rest to 7 a.m. when Mu Yan was asking Wu Chen questions earlier. Wu Chen finally realizes after using the system for first time that time really does reset. Mu Yan was asking Wu Chen to explain, and Wu Chen placed his finger on Mu Yan's rosy pink lips and said while looking in her eyes, There's no time to explain, so get dressed. Mu Yan, like a cute little cat, bit Wu Chen's finger, which was on her lips, and said, Hey, I knew you wouldn't be responsible, but I didn't think you'd be so eager to get rid of me, while folding her hand around gigantic balloons. Wu Chen, in pain of his bitten finger, replied, "The car I stole belongs to Wang Zhuangyuan, and his men are about to come to my door. Of course you're not afraid, but I can't afford to mess with him as a commoner." Mu Yan gets shocked that Wu Chen knows her real identity and status, and asked Wu Chen, "Do you know who I am?" Mu Yan flips her silky washed hair in a sexy way and said, "If you do, then you know you have to beg me to help you." Wu Chen suddenly grabs Mu Yan with his hand around her waist and replied, looking in her eyes, "Just like you begged me last night in bed?" Mu Yan blushes after hearing this and pushes Wu Chen while saying, "Bastard, I'll let you die." Wu Chen, with his smirky smile, replied, "Sorry to disappoint you, but I know someone who can fix this easily." Curious, Mu Yan asked, "What kind of person?" To which Wu Chen replied, "A woman, one with a lot of heart and very big something." Mu Yan and Wu Chen got dressed and went out of house, and the two get in the car which Wu Chen stole yesterday from Wang Bar. Wu Chen just started the car. He looked in the rearview mirror. There were several off-road vehicles, and the leader was a Mercedes-Benz G. He glanced at the license plate, and Wu Chen knew that it was Wang Zhuangyuan's people. They came and saw the red Lamborghini. "Interesting," Wu Chen muttered with a smile on his face. "Sit still." Switching modes, shifting gears, stepping on the accelerator, all in one go. "Launch!" Lamborghini rushed out and began to accelerate to the limit when it got on the main road. "Ah, you're crazy, it's morning, and the road is full of cars," Mu Yan screamed. "Look at the back. They are chasing us. It will be miserable if we are caught." Wu Chen tilted his head and said, A thug's car came beside Wu Chen's car and he started shouting, "Stop the car or I'll kill you," while pointing the gun towards Wu Chen's car. Seeing the gun pointed towards them, Mu Yan got scared and said, "They have guns." Wu Chen smirked and placed his hand on the gear and said, "That's the fun part. Get ready for some Tokyo drift," and pressed on the accelerator, and boom, they're speeding while the thugs are chasing from behind. "You're crazy for driving this fast," scared Mu Yan said, and Wu Chen replied, "I can't do anything else. If I get caught, I'm dead." Mu Yan glanced at the rearview mirror, and sure enough, there were several cars behind, also driving very fast, speeding up to catch up. But the Lamborghini was faster, so the distance was getting farther and farther. Thugs chasing them was not ready to back out just yet, and tells the driver to step up on the gas, "Go after him." That car is important for the boss. Get the guy who stole his car. Don't talk, he'll make a call. Wu Chen said, took out his cell phone and dialed a number. It went through. Speak. An extremely cold and capable female voice came from the phone. Wu Chen had no other people's numbers on his mobile phone except those he met before July 7th, 2020. "There is a traitor on your side. He has been lurking by your side for 2 years. In addition to monitoring your every move, he is also preparing to steal the research and development information of your company's latest product as ordered and will make you lose the bet." Wu Chen was driving furiously while talking on his phone. "Who are you?" There was a hint of suspicion in the woman's cold voice. "How do you know about the bet?" She thought that her subordinates had something urgent to report to her, so she called her private number and the caller ID showed blank. She didn't think much about the unfamiliar number, but Wu Chen's words made her react. "I have my sources and I can tell you more about your brother," replied Wu Chen. Thugs were trying to crash Wu Chen's car by ramming their cars from the sides while Wu Chen was talking on phone. "Send someone to meet me downstairs at your office in half an hour, and we'll talk in person," Wu Chen said, and she replies, "I want to know who you are." And while she was saying, Wu Chen disconnects the call as thugs were trying to pinch his car from both sides. Mu Yan was scared with all this fast and furious chasing and told Wu Chen, "We're pinned." Mu Chen, while handling the steering and speeding the car while saying, "What this insane drift," and suddenly did a 180 drift while shocking the thugs behind, "What are these skills? Is this time for a compliment? Get him." But sadly for them, Wu Chen had 1,000 years of racing and driving skill. He kept increasing the distance farther away from the thugs' cars and kept speeding even on sharp turns, making the thugs loose the tail of Wu Chen's car. Mu Yan inside the car was screaming, "Help!" due to Wu Chen's insane drift and driving. "We got to your home," said Wu Chen. Mu Yan was completely exhausted from this driving, that she didn't even realize it's her home at first, and then she looked outside the car and saw her house and in shocked voice asked, "How do you know where I live?" And shakes her head. "I'm not even going to ask. You're going to say you lived for 1,000 years and get out to the car while her legs was still shaking due to all the insane driving." She turned her head and remarked that he did have good driving skills, then asked where he had learned them. Wu Chen replied that he had practiced through life and had died countless times to learn the skill. He warned her not to learn from him, saying that while he had many chances, she only had one. Mu Yan, with a flustered face, told him to stop lying and reminded him that although he had her number, he shouldn't expect her to call him. At that moment, Wu Chen sped off without saying goodbye, which left Mu Yan slightly angry. She muttered to herself, calling him a bastard, saying he had fooled her all night and now thought he'd get a call from her. She also began to suspect that what had happened later that night was probably arranged by her friend. Otherwise, Wu Chen wouldn't have known where she lived. Determined to get answers, she clenched her fist tightly and vowed to ask her friend, thinking that Wu Chen wouldn't escape her questioning. Half an hour later, Wu Chen arrived at Li Rubing's office building. He parked in the underground lot and began walking toward her office. On the surface, Li Rubing was known as a star entrepreneur in Donghai City, but her background was extremely complicated. She had a face value of 9 out of 10, but her charm was nearly invincible. She was powerful and domineering, and her older brother Li Gongzi was a man said to have the capability to destroy all of East China. 2 bodyguards in black suits resembling goalkeepers stood guard on either side of the president's office door. One of them informed the person inside that someone had arrived. A cold voice responded from within, telling them to let the person in. The bodyguard escorted Wu Chen inside. The office was spacious with a stunning view through floor-to-ceiling windows, though it wasn't lavishly decorated. The guest sofa was placed at a considerable distance from the main desk. Li Rubing dismissed the bodyguard, then turned to Wu Chen and asked if it had been him who called her. She put down her pen and studied him quietly. She was clearly surprised. Wu Chen looked nothing like she had imagined. For someone who had contacted her out of nowhere and spoken confidently about things only a few trusted individuals knew, she had expected a mature, stable, possibly middle-aged man. But Wu Chen appeared far too young, like a college student. At the same time, Wu Chen observed Li Rubing. She was tall and slender with long, straight black hair, gold-rimmed glasses, and striking makeup. Her presence was commanding. Even in silence, her aura made it clear she was not someone to be trifled with. Li Rubing confirmed his name and picked up a document from the table. She recited his background: 22 years old, a computer science graduate from Donghai University, son of Wu Dahai and Zhang Shujuan, who ran a ramen shop in a small county, and older brother to Wu Jiao, a high school student. Wu Chen smiled, clapped lightly, and commented that Boss Li's ability to investigate was truly impressive. He wasn't surprised. He already knew how powerful she was. Li Rubing tore the document in half and, staring directly at Wu Chen, remarked that although he looked ordinary, someone ordinary wouldn't know about the bed. She then asked who he really was. Wu Chen replied confidently that he wasn't ordinary. His words only deepened her confusion. He claimed to know things she cared about, such as the identity of the traitor lurking around her. He offered to reveal the traitor's identity for $10 million, calling it a fair deal. Li Rubing questioned his logic, incredulously asking if he expected her to make a deal with a complete stranger for information whose authenticity she couldn't verify. He was demanding $10 million and calling it fair. Did he think that made any sense? As she spoke, she pulled open a drawer and slammed a black pistol onto the desk, pointing it at Wu Chen's head. She asked if he truly believed she'd agree to his terms, warning that if he didn't explain everything clearly, he wouldn't be leaving the office alive. Li Rubing had always been a direct woman, and clearly one who wasn't afraid to use deadly force if needed. Wu Chen, seemingly unfazed, gasped in mock surprise at her threat. Then, with a smile, he raised his hand and revealed what he was holding. He shook it slightly and pointed out that without it, she wouldn't be able to kill him. In his hand was a magazine, for the pistol she had just slammed down.